The message came at exactly 4:17 a.m., no greeting, no warmth, just, "Cass, it's probably best you don't come home for Thanksgiving. Hazel's invited some potential investors to the resort. They're expecting something polished." I read it once, then again slower, and once more for the sheer absurdity of it. Hazel, the cousin who'd gone viral last year for crying on a paddleboard while holding a crystal. Hazel, the face of our family's healing retreat, who'd never paid a single invoice but had her own suite named after her. I didn't reply. I didn't even flinch, because some messages don't shock you. They confirm what you already knew but were too loyal to admit. Outside, the Texas wind scraped softly against the aluminum walls of the trailer I'd been staying in. I was 6 hours into my final inspection on a solar microgrid project, a system that would power a tribal health center and 4 nearby homes. My hands were still raw from welding in the desert sun the day before. 10 years in engineering, 5 major infrastructure grants, 2 energy awards. No one in my family had ever asked what I actually did. They just called when something broke. I put the phone down. No reply. No rebuttal. No reminder of the $1. $2 million I'd wired 6 months earlier to stop the resort from going into foreclosure. That wasn't weakness. That was the moment I realized I didn't need the invitation, because the deed was already in my name. 6 months ago, the resort was 64 days from foreclosure. I still have the email. Subject line, "We need you." No salutation, no punctuation, just desperation. They didn't mention the back taxes, or the missed payroll, or the fact that Hazel had drained the marketing budget on chakra-themed bathrobes that never arrived. They just said, "The family business is on the line, you're our last hope." And maybe that's what broke me, not the request, but the belief that I'd say yes without conditions. I didn't fly back. I didn't cry. I opened Excel. Then I opened my brokerage account. I liquidated my energy fund, emptied my 401k, sold my half of the duplex outside Flagstaff, the one I used to rent to teachers for below market. By the end of that week, I had wired $1. $2 million to a holding account tied to the resort's debts. And before a single cent was released, I had Marcy, my attorney, draft a notarized agreement. If the debt was not repaid in full within 6 months, the Wren Bay Resort and Healing Collective would transfer 61% equity ownership to me. No exceptions, no excuses, they signed. Without reading past page 1. 2 days later, Hazel held a press conference on the bluff, hair curled, dress flowing. She thanked the universe for alignment, praised the resilience of our family roots, and introduced a new line of essential oils that smelled like low tide and lemon peels. She didn't mention the bailout. She didn't mention me. I didn't mind. Let them pose for sunset photos. Let them toast to a rescue they didn't understand. Because in 6 months, if no payments were made, they wouldn't be thanking the universe. They'd be reporting to their new majority shareholder. Me. Thanksgiving morning arrived with the crispness of a brochure. The kind Hazel loved golden light, gourmet trays, and just enough wind to make the branded banners flutter behind her like destiny was on her side. The driveway of the Wren Bay Resort glimmered with imported gravel and rented luxury cars. Guests in linen and cashmere arrived with camera-ready smiles. Hazel greeted each one like a campaign promise. Investors from San Francisco, a wellness podcaster with 3 million followers, a family friend who claimed to have deep ties to the venture space. What no one saw, what no one expected, was the manila envelope that arrived at 11:12 a.m., unfolded blazer, neutral face, a quiet knock at the side gate. Delivery for the Wren Bay principal signatories. Hazel thought it was a catering invoice. She opened it in front of everyone. Inside, a notarized transfer of operational control, a 3-page legal activation of Clause 6. 3 and a formal notice to vacate executive positions within 14 business days. The resort had changed hands, and her name was no longer on the deed. Cassia wasn't there. She was halfway across Utah, the snow just beginning to whisper against the windows of a cabin she'd rented in the mountains. She made tea, opened a book, checked nothing. Next to her, on the table, was the original contract, signed, stamped, timed. Not as a weapon, not even as proof. As a reminder, I existed, I mattered, and this time I have the paperwork to prove it. The room didn't erupt. It cracked slowly. Hazel froze, envelope in hand, rereading the clause in bold. Effective immediately, operational control reverts to Cassia Wren, majority equity holder. Failure to comply constitutes breach of contract, subject to civil penalty. The silence hit first. Then came the whispering, investors shifting in their seats, unsure whether to sip or stand. Mom's wine glass tilted, staining the edge of a rental tablecloth. Dad's voice was the first to break. This can't be right. We were told she wasn't involved anymore." Hazel's PR smile collapsed in real time. A flash of red crept up her neck. Her fingers trembled as she fumbled for her phone. No signal, too many guests, too many eyes. One investor leaned in. "Did you really not mention there was a shareholder change?" Hazel opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Her assistant, wide-eyed, slowly backed toward the catering staff. Mom was already in the kitchen, crying into a monogrammed napkin. Dad demanded to call his lawyer. But the last time he'd spoken to legal counsel was when Cassia paid their retainer. Someone muttered, "I flew here from Palo Alto for this." Another said, "This whole place is a liability." Hazel tried to salvage it. She stood, lifted her glass, tried to toast. "Let's not let business get in the way of gratitude." But her voice cracked. No one clapped. No one raised theirs. From what Marcy told me later, the entire dinner unraveled in under 20 minutes. Hazel's carefully curated dream, the one she'd filtered, branded, and hashtagged for 3 years, had imploded before dessert. And I was on a gravel trail above Aspen, phone on airplane mode, boots dusted with snow. And for the first time in over a decade, I didn't feel guilty for not being there to fix it. They showed up at my door 2 days later. No appointment, no warning, just guilt packed into business casual. Mom wore pearls like it was still Easter 1999. Dad looked smaller, thinner somehow. Hazel, no makeup, no flowy dress, just a black hoodie and the quiet shame of someone who'd finally run out of filters. I didn't offer tea. I didn't ask how the flight was. I opened my laptop. "I'm not here to rehash the past," I said. "I'm here to offer a path forward." Slide 1 clicked into place. Option 1, sell the resort, pay off debts. Use remaining equity to purchase a modest living space if any remains. Option 2, rebrand under new management. Hazel steps down. I hire a third-party operations team. They can reapply as employees. Option 3, Lena, sorry, Hazel, enters a full financial rehab program. 6 weeks, no access to funding, no public image, no privileges. I paused after each slide, no commentary, no cushioning. Mom's eyes welled up. Dad stared at his shoes like they had answers. "Hazel," she whispered, "why are you doing this?" I didn't blink. "Because I asked for accountability and you gave me optics. Because I was the lifeboat for 15 years and now I'm the captain." Hazel's voice cracked. "I don't want to be this person anymore." It was the first honest thing I'd heard from her in a decade. Mom finally spoke. We didn't know what to do. We were scared. Every time we challenged her, she'd explode. Dad cleared his throat. "We told ourselves we were protecting the family, but really we were just enabling her and failing you. I didn't say I forgive you. I didn't say it's okay." I slid a manila folder across the table. Inside, the original contract, the updated terms, and a place to sign. "You needed help," I said. "I gave it with structure. Now you can start fixing it. That part's no longer mine." Hazel looked up. "Will you help me enroll in the rehab center?" I nodded. "Not because I owe you, because I still believe there's a version of you worth saving." And for once, no one asked me to take anything back. No one begged to be rescued. They just read, signed, swallowed it, and that was enough. We met again 5 days later. No velvet chairs, no catered meals, just a notary office on 6th and Alder. Hazel brought a pen. Dad brought a folder. Mom brought a list of items she'd already sold. We didn't hug. No one cried. We reviewed terms, clear, non-negotiable, actionable. With Marcy's help, I had rewritten everything. Repayment timelines, defined roles, exit clauses, audit schedules, not out of anger, out of necessity. Because trust, once broken, requires structure to survive. Hazel signed first. Her hand trembled, but she didn't pause. That evening, she checked herself into the recovery program. No phones, no social media, no investors. Just 6 weeks of financial detox and group sessions. A mirror she'd avoided for 10 years. Dad signed next. In exchange for the startup loan I extended, he agreed to launch the accounting firm he'd been thinking about since I was 12. He had a full business plan this time. Basic, solid. A few clients I'd referred, he looked terrified and alive. Mom didn't say much, but she handed me a spreadsheet. 8 designer handbags, 4 antique armoires, 2 fur coats, 1 diamond tennis bracelet she didn't even remember buying. Every item had a buyer. Every line had a price. It wasn't just inventory. It was her way of saying, "I'm in this too." Evelyn Grandma came as our witness. She didn't ask. She just showed up in a linen pantsuit and gold-rimmed glasses. When it was time to sign, she leaned in, pen steady. "About time someone ran this family like a company," she muttered and inked her name with a smirk. There were no hugs, no music swells, but no one walked out. No one tore up the paper. No one said, "But can't we just go back?" As we left, I tucked the signed contracts into my bag, not like a trophy, not like a weapon, like armor I should have had years ago. The snow came that night. Not a blizzard, just soft, slow flakes that blurred the edges of the city like the universe had hit the dimmer switch. I stood by the window for a long time. No music, no calls, just quiet. In the corner of my living room, on the shelf beside my record player, sat a single folder. Inside, the original bailout contract, the updated agreement, Hazel's intake form, Dad's business license copy, Mom's sales report, not to hold over them. Not to threaten. Just to remind myself, I didn't imagine this. I didn't dream boundaries, I built them. Line by line, term by term, my phone buzzed. I didn't jump, didn't brace. I checked the screen. "Evelyn, you didn't destroy anything, you reset the story." I read it twice, then once more just to feel it settle. For so long, I thought I had to choose, stay silent or set fire, swallow dysfunction or scream until they heard me. But I hadn't done either. I'd written terms, held the line, walked away without slamming the door, and somehow they walked toward me. Hazel had been at the treatment center for 10 days. She sent me a letter, handwritten, shaky in places, honest in a way that made me stop reading twice. She didn't ask for forgiveness. She asked for space to keep trying. It was the most adult thing she'd ever written. Dad emailed me a draft of his new business site. No flash, just services, a contact form, pricing. He asked if I had notes. Mom forwarded a donation receipt from Goodwill, 8 bags of clothes, 1 mirror, 1 coat. She said she hadn't realized how much she'd been holding onto. And me, I didn't bleed for it this time. I didn't collapse to be accepted. I closed the curtains. Let the snow keep falling. And for the first time in my life, the peace I felt wasn't from being included. It came from no longer asking.